Now, welcome to our Kelly Files special, The Media in 2016. I'm Megyn Kelly. The country is gearing up for a presidential campaign that will decide the direction of this country for 4, possibly 8 years. 4 politicians have so far declared their candidacy, but only 3 have faced the early gauntlet of media grilling. In fact, in the days since throwing their hats into the ring, 3 Republican candidates, Senators Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, and Marco Rubio, sat for a total of more than 20 nationally televised interviews. But Mrs. Clinton, 6 days in, has yet to do a single one. She kicked off her campaign last Sunday with an online video, and then we learned that she would be driving to her first official campaign stops in Iowa, the trip setting off a furious media effort to track down Mrs. Clinton's self-described Scooby-Doo van. On Monday, there was breathless coverage of Mrs. Clinton's first lunch stop at an Ohio Chipotle, because why not? At least one political pundit found this illuminating.
She looks like she's having fun, and she's doing, for her, new stuff. We've never seen her get a burrito before.
Maybe someday we'll see that again. It was followed Tuesday by a reporter stampede, or as one writer saw it, quote, teenage girls chasing after the Beatles. As the media jumped at their first chance to capture the Scooby van arriving in Iowa, what would happen if they saw Mrs. Clinton in the back, the outline of a head? The same day, a competing network promoted the first exclusive interview with the candidate herself. That turned out to be a tad bit oversold.
You lost Iowa in 2008. How do you win this time? What's your strategy?
I'm having a great time. Can't look forward to any more than I am. Thank you.
Really? Really? Which brings us to last night, when the media learned after the fact that Mrs. Clinton had ended her Iowa campaign swing, quietly boarded a regional jet, and flew back home. Coach. She's just a regular person. No reporters were told, of course, meaning few journalists were actually there. You can see that in the airport. And Mrs. Clinton's efforts to avoid any questions from reporters, officially so far, a total success. Chris Starwalt is our Fox News digital politics editor. He joins me now. So good for her. If she didn't want to talk to the press, banner week. And she clearly didn't want to talk to the press.
And she's coming on the Kelly File Monday,
oh, yeah.
I think.
That's in the can.
That's coming up next for the easy questioning.
Well, if I see her at the Time 100 next Tuesday, I'm going to shout a question at her across the room, and then I'm going to bill that on Wednesday as my exclusive interview.
Hey, go with what works. Look, here's the deal for Hillary Clinton. This press corps, or not this whole press corps, but many in this press corps want to be punked. They just are dying to be punked. They are supplicant. They want to be impressed by her ability to smack them around.
You know, it's the whole 50 Shades craze. They're in on it. They like, yeah, it is. I want to be sub.
That's right. Exactly. And for many in the press now, they are oohing and aahing over her ability to defeat them, which is kind of weird if you think about it. And basically this, we had in real time, if you think about it this way, Counselor, we had in real time breaking news on the central issue about Hillary Clinton. Central issue on Hillary Clinton is trustworthiness. Is she trustworthy? We had breaking news about her secret servers and her compliance with telling Congress about her digital hygiene, et cetera, while she was on the campaign trail. And you know what reporters did about it? Nothing. Now look, they were penned up, they couldn't get to her and all of that stuff. But at a certain point, you just would have to get sick of it. Remember when they were screaming at Mitt Romney when he was walking across to go lay a wreath in Poland? What about your gaffes?
Right.
Well, what about your servers? Yeah.
Well, they don't seem quite as agitated about getting questions to Mrs. Clinton. I mean, they ran. They wanted to get the picture of the head in the van, but no questions were shouted that would actually make any news. I mean, who knows? I was too busy laughing at them to really listen to what they were saying.
Right.
But this is all strategy by her. And it reminds me of what Valerie Jarrett said about Barack Obama back in 2008 when they kept him away from reporters. And she later came out and said that was a way, we put out surrogates on video, David Plouffe. She said that was a way to get our message out without actually having to talk to reporters. She said we controlled it as opposed to the press controlling it. And by the general election, very rarely did we communicate anything through the press that we did not absolutely control. She's pursuing a tried and true method of becoming president.
I would point out that for any reporter that is not concerned about this backhand, any reporter that is not worried about the trend line here, think about how much worse things have gotten in the last 7 years for journalism at the White House. How much more control, how much less access, how much less accountability has gone on with this administration. Everybody agrees that it is Nixonian or worse in its level of control of reporters. If Hillary Clinton is given the opportunity to build upon that monument to secrecy, what do you suppose she will do?
You don't think she's going to be holding a lot of press avails if she becomes president of the United States? I don't know where you would get that from, but
Meerkat.
Maybe
Yeah.
Bill will hold them. He seemed to like to crash the ones that our current president held.
Yeah.
Never mind his wife. All right, Chris, good to see you.
You bet.
Joining me now with more, Leslie Marshall, who's a progressive radio talk show host and a Fox News contributor. So, I mean, so far, brilliantly done, really. I mean, if she didn't want to speak to the press, she managed to avoid them. She made them look like idiots. And she's pursuing this method that Valerie Jarrett said got Barack Obama elected.
Well, no question, but I think any candidate, left or right, and whether you're Hillary Clinton or whether you're Rand Paul, they do want to control everything on this campaign. When you have Rand Paul sitting down with a reporter, that's all orchestrated. Who it's going to be, what network it's going to be, not always the way that you answer the questions. I think those hard questions definitely not only have to come, but will come in the future. She will have scheduled interviews. She has to. She can't avoid it. Certainly there'll be debates. There'll be reporters that throw questions out when they can catch the Scooby van, whether they're inside a Chipotle or not.
That's the thing.
So at the end of the day, right now, it's just a few days into it. This is a very, very different style of campaigning, and I think that she's definitely shown that and her crew, they've thrown the press for a loop, but that won't be for long.
But she may have also shown the American public that she is scared and she's not ready for prime time. What's so scary about sitting down with a reporter? I mean, really? There's nothing I can ask her about that she doesn't know more than I do on when it comes to her policies. Nothing. She knows her policies better than anybody. Why can't she say? I mean, there was a moment when she was asked about her plan for cracking down on campaign finance, and she said, "We'll have a plan on the plan." I mean, it was like I don't know if she's ready.
I would disagree with you that she's ready. I think she's more than ready. This is it.
For the interview, I'm saying. For the interviews.
She's got that one shot. But no, I think she's ready for the interviews. I think this is just not the way they want to roll it out. What she clearly wants to do is say, look, I know that you know the Hillary that was First Lady and Senator and Secretary of State, Bill's wife, and all the scandals. But let me show you the Hillary that you don't know, the Hillary that I've mentioned before here, Megan, that I have met when the cameras aren't rolling. And I think that's the way they're starting it out, before they have any rallies and any sit-downs. She should sit down with you. You have a great audience. You're a brilliant woman and will ask brilliant questions. And she needs to show that. And quite frankly, I think she could shine in that capacity. And I think that is forthcoming. I think it's unavoidable.
I love the way you make me sound. I don't know how true it is. By the way, I want to correct myself. It wasn't Valerie Jarrett who said that stuff about getting Barack Obama elected. It was Anita Dunn. Remember old Anita Dunn and Glenn Beck and the red phone? Mm-hmm. But listen, why do you think it is she's doing it, other than a calculated reasoning that it either won't behoove her or she isn't ready for it or whatever? Because at some point she knows she has to. And so why not just get take your licks, take a few punches, punch back, do whatever you're going to do, but she's sort of got to get her sea legs back. We got to get going, because these other guys are out there. They're getting the issues out. They're getting pummeled. They're working on their message. They're only going to get better.
True, but she has had an image problem. She knows this. Her crew knows this. She has been looked at and is certainly a one-percenter. She had a really, really terrible book launch and interviews there. She needs to change that. She needs to sit down in the setting where she is most comfortable and most successful right now, which is that small group and that one-on-one. She needs to show people that, look, I may have millions of dollars, but I can grab a burrito at Chipotle. I've got the Scooby van. I'm going to sit down and talk to you.
She did that. And let me just say, I'll give you the last word, but she did that, and it had to be people who were like Democratic campaign operatives who she sat with. It wasn't so-called real people. And then she kept repeating the stuff she said in her little infomercial she came out with on Sunday. They were giving her their thoughts, and she was saying, I think the American people need a champion. I would like to be that champion. It was the same stuff she had said. Like, that's not, what is that doing for her?
I think it's early. And I think it's actually been very successful. People that I've talked to, even many Republicans, say, I like it because it's different. It doesn't mean they'll vote for her, but certainly she's not going for the people that hate her and will never vote for her or that she has the vote of. She's going for those people that really aren't sure about her or the other candidates. And I think she's starting at a very, she's going to walk before she runs.
Can you imagine sitting in coach and having Hillary Clinton come sit down like, oh, well, hi. Of course, she probably wasn't like seated right. I don't know how it worked. But anyway, it's fun to think about. All right, great to see you, Leslie. See you shortly. A columnist for the LA Times today praising Hillary Clinton for her experience, her competence, and for not going under the knife before this campaign. Really? Chris Steyerwalt and Leslie Marshall are back with me now. So Leslie, her name is Megan Dom, and she praises Hillary Clinton for vying for the most powerful post in the free world with, quote, jowls, face creases, and a less than Pilates toned physique. Is this sexist on the writer's part? Does it acknowledge a reality, or is it both?
It unfortunately is a reality that we look at female candidates, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, and I always say I'm a woman first before a Democrat. I think this is sexist. I was so surprised, A, a woman wrote it, B, the LA Times reported it. Hey, here in LA, they're thinking about putting Botox in the water, but that's irrelevant when somebody is running for office. This is not supposed to be about her hair, what color, if her breasts are hanging to her knees, if she's had Botox, or even veneers on dental work. This is sexist.
They say actually that breast thing hanging to the knees can help you out. Somebody once said on Larry King Live, it's called a facelift. Sorry, I digress. But what did you make of it, Chris? Because the headline was like, wait, what? Why is she's getting praised for not getting a facelift?
Well, talk about setting the bar low, number one. Number two, talk about a backhanded compliment. Congratulations, you look like an old bag, and we think that's great, and all that stuff. Gee, thank you.
Yeah.
There is that side of it. But look, men and women alike are judged relentlessly on their appearance, and I would point out.
Come on.
Well, no, wait.
Leslie.
Look, I'm pretty, so I don't have to worry about it. It's just, it's just a look that I have. It's okay for me, so I don't have to worry about that part. But Bill Clinton, his own self, Bubba, his own self, recently had to respond, or through proxies respond to the fact that the New York Times had pointed out that he looked every bit of his 69 years and now seemed much more grandfatherly. And Big Bad Bubba wanted everybody to know he was still vigorous and vital. So age and potential
your
decrepitude
one
is important for
example
both
does
genders.
not prove that there's not a double standard for men and women. And
no,
can I tell
obviously
you,
there's a
I have
double
heard this
standard.
discussed, with apologies to the LA Times writer who's taking a hit in this segment. I have heard other people discuss this. Like, it is surprising to them that she didn't get a facelift before she went out to run for president because she needs to seem youthful and in command and vibrant. And they don't say that about the male candidates, Leslie.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not hearing anything about what tie Marco Rubio is wearing, or Rand Paul maybe needs to, lighten his hair color, or even talking about Chris Christie and his weight. We're hearing about
Brit
things that
Hume raised
happened when he
that.
was governor.
Brit Hume raised that.
Rand Paul's hair, Chris Christie's girth, and other topics do come up about male candidates. I think there is a sexism part about it, talking about plastic surgery specifically. We've talked about Joe Biden and his hair before, John Kerry and his face. That's a whole thing. But yes, women and plastic surgery.
Women are not allowed to age. That's the official rule.
Exactly.
Yes. We can get older, but we can never look like we've gotten older. That's apparently the rule. And that's what this writer is talking about. She's talking about how women somehow become repulsive as they age. Like, the age on a woman is somehow repulsive.
And quite frankly, who cares what their experience is, what their education is, what their politics are, what their campaign's about? How does their eyeshadow look? Mm-hmm. And did they get a mani-pedi?
Do you think Margaret Thatcher had to go through this?
That's shallow.
Do you think Margaret Thatcher had to go through this? Really? Did anybody write about how she give her kudos for not getting plastic surgery, or before she went out to become the Iron Lady?
They didn't have plastic surgery then. They didn't have to do it back then.
I'm sure they did. I bet Marilyn Monroe would argue with that if she were alive today.
Fiddly-dee.
There were things to be done. All right, I got to go. Interesting discussion.